Welcome to the Gear Garage Live Show. This weekly YouTube show covers whitewater rafting, river safety,
oh God, I lost my paddle,
gear, and anything else Zach feels like rambling on about.
Thanks, Haldor. Sorry for those of you. It's a minute of me not talking. I had a button that wasn't pressed. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear me now. So welcome to the show. Welcome to another episode of the Gear Garage Live Show. I want to start with our sponsor, GoRafting.com. And GoRafting.com is a website that is full of river descriptions. So if you just want free river descriptions, things that are well written with good pictures of the Middle Fork, the Rogue, the Footlofu, the Selway, the Illinois, John Day, all kinds of rivers. They have the hood on there. They're free on the website, but also they sell maps that are used through an app. So there's an app called Far Out that's designed for hikers. There's tons of, if you want a guide to the Pacific Crest Trail or the Appalachian Trail, the Far Out app, you can buy those maps through the Far Out app. The same way you can buy these river maps. So you can get a river map of the Footlofu, the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is the one I used. It was awesome. The Rogue. There's an Illinois one that I did. So if you want to use the Illinois map, it's on there. It's a great river map. Those of you that have paper maps, they're great too. They're nice to have. They don't change over time, and you don't always know where you're at. And so the big advantage of having it on your phone is that if rapids change, like on the Middle Fork, rapids have changed, or like in other rivers, if the put-ins and takeouts change, they can change it and update it. And so you get the latest information as long as they've updated it. And also it tells you where you are. It uses GPS and knows where you are on the app. And so you can look at a map level where it shows you on the map, or you can just look at like a list of what's in front of you. And it says, this rapid 1.2 miles, this camp 2 miles. And as you move, those distances change. And so the linear distance to the next place. It's pretty sweet. It's more than just telling you a dot on a map. It knows river miles and river distance, so it knows how far you are from the next thing. So I really like these maps. I think they're the future personally. I know a lot of you are like, I don't want to have my phone on the river. Cool. Don't bring your phone. That's fine. A lot of us are, though. Phones are great for taking photos. They're great for emergency communication. Now they have satellite communication. Some of people, when they go to sleep, want to listen to a podcast. I mean, sure, do that. I don't know. They have apps that tell you the stars. Like, although we're probably trying to get away from our phones, they're actually kind of useful. So if you're somebody who's not trying to get away from their phone that much and just trying to get away from internet service, which is really the problem, this is a great way to have a map. And, you could also have a paper map too. You could have both just in case, have a backup, have something to cross-reference to. But I think this is the future, and they have a whitewater bundle that bundles all the rivers you could want into one package. It's a screaming deal. I can't remember how much it is, but I'm shocked they're selling it so cheap. So anyway, thank you, GoRafting.com, for being a sponsor. And let's get on to questions. Lots of questions this week. Okay, topic is knots. When using a standard dynamic rope for bow and stern lines to secure boats to the beach, what is the preferred knot on the boat side? I use a locking carabiner as part of the system. I've gone back and forth between the Bowline and figure 8 on a bite. I don't know that there is much of a preference since the rope isn't being stressed like in a pin situation. First of all, before I get to the second part of this, I'm going to go to the second part because I can see it addresses this. Do you have thoughts about using dynamic versus static rope for this application? How much does rope diameter factor in? I'm currently using 1/2 inch, but have 3/8 as a backup. So first of all, I would not purposefully get dynamic rope for bow and stern lines. If you're a climber and you have a dynamic rope that you don't use anymore because it's just unsafe, that might be a use for it. But I'm going to choose to get the most static of a rope that I can. I don't want my rope to bungee. I don't want it to have dynamicism to it. I want to pull on my Bowline and have the boat move. And so, of course, if it is dynamic, it's probably fine. But I'm going to choose something that's purposefully static over something that's purposefully dynamic. I can't see any advantage of a dynamic rope in any application of whitewater for anything. For the knot, I'm going to go with the figure 8 on a bite for 2 reasons. I love the Bowline, by the way. The Bowline for me is a quick, you just tie it on, you tie it, untie it. That's what the Bowline's great for. Just tie onto something, it comes undone later. If something that's going to be kind of permanent, a Bowline, if it gets moved around enough, like it can come undone. If you get it really tight, it probably won't. But I just think the standard is figure 8 on a bite. And it sounds like you're going figure 8 on a bite to a locking carabiner. All of my Bowlines on my commercial boats, my personal boats, I do a follow through figure 8 straight to the D-ring. That's how I do it. I just do it, for those who don't know how to do a follow through figure 8, it's not that hard. You can Google it. That's what I do. Also, there are times you might use your Bowline to do some sort of rescue. So having it tied on with a superior knot, which is the figure 8, I think is better. And having good line is nice. There are ways to do internal 3-to-1s. And I've never seen it done. I don't think it's really that common, but it's at least it's a tool you can have in your pocket of tools, your tool belt. If your Bowline is tied on correctly and it's good rescue rope, you could do an internal 3-to-1 or an internal 2-to-1. There's a number of, or you could just pull really hard from shore with your Bowline, right? Which is a little bit scary because it's only attached to one D-ring, which is a separate aside a little bit. But if you're just going to throw it to some people on shore and it's 5 or 6 people pulling, I would be fine pulling on a good static line attached to a D-ring. If it was a dynamic line or a weak line or a small diameter rope, it might be hard to do something. So I wouldn't discount the fact that your bow and stern lines could be your potential rope used to perform some sort of equipment retrieval process. How much does rope diameter factor in? For our gear boats, I think we use slightly bigger than 3/8. I think for our paddle boats, like where we just have people in them, we're using 3/8, and one up from that would be some 9/16. I don't think 7/16. Yeah, I think we do 7/16 for our gear boat. So thinnish line for our paddle boats, but the gear boats that are heavy, I want thicker line partially because it's stronger. Mainly it's easier to grab. If I'm holding onto a gear boat, I'd rather hold onto a thicker rope. 1/2 inch is sure, thick is great. 1/2 inch is maybe a little bit bulky, but I'm not going to say no to 1/2 inch. If I have 1/2 inch line, that's what I'm going to use. I use this stir. This is from a Bowline one. But let me pull this up. This might actually be 1/2 inch. I use this Sterling. Which rope is this again? This is the Sterling. It's one of the rescue-ish type ropes for our Bowlines. I buy a roll of it. I think I have a roll of it back there. I could probably look. Yeah. Okay, everybody. I'm going to go over here and look. I have a roll of this right here. This is the thinner stuff that I use for like the paddle boats. And this says it's, what is this? 3/8. So I'm using 3/8 for paddle boats. And I'm guessing then that thicker rope, here's the thicker rope. I keep rolls of this stuff because we go through a lot for Bowlines. This is the Sterling waterline, the 1/2 inch. So yeah, I'm using 1/2 inch in the Sterling. So for the big gear boats, something heavy, like our 18-foot gear boats, I'm running 1/2 inch waterline. For paddle boats, I'm using 3/8. So this is the 1/2 inch waterline. And again, it's thicker, so I can just grab it and pull really well, right? It's like, it's easier to hold on to. It's stronger for sure, but its ability to hold it, the thickness really helps with that. So that's what I think. Let me go back to see if I answered all that question. If thoughts about dynamic for static for sure. Rope. How much is rope diameter? It mainly for just holding it. And half inch, yeah, it's sweet. I thought it was 7/16, but I'm half inch. Sean prefers a double bowline on a bite with a follow through at the boat. Almost impossible. Yeah, I don't even know if I can tie a double bowline on a bite. That's a lot. But a figure eight on a bite, or just like a follow through figure eight, whatever you do, works great. Okay, next question. Is a game and gear hoist like this all practical for whitewater rescue? Thanks, David. I pulled this up ahead of time. I didn't look at all the questions this week, but I did see this. So let me find this and add it to. Somebody else asked me this question recently. They sent me an email. Maybe it's the same person with these fancy little things. I'm pretty sure there's absolutely no value in whitewater rescue. I mean, this is cute. I mean, I would maybe bring this if I liked gear a lot and need to hang a bear bag or something. You can see how they're using to pull up a tree. This is a light duty application tool. It's cute. It's they're trying to do something interesting. It's just not a thing that I think that I need for anything. Definitely not whitewater rescue. If somebody can think of a reason to use it, but the rope on there is just really thin rope. This is not heavy duty. It's whatever it is, whatever the mechanical advantage of it is, it's probably, I'm guessing, like 9-1 or something. I just quickly looking at, I don't know. Somebody might know, 8-1, something like that. But I don't think those are like heavy duty pulleys or anything. The pulleys are not super efficient, and the rope probably has a lot of give because it's small. So it's cool. I mean, it's, again, neat to hang a bear bag, neat to like lift a water jug, but I just don't see any application for a whitewater rescue. Okay, moving on. Or length for 16-foot surge. Okay. Zach, back at it after many decades guiding. Have your 16-foot surge on order. Your fault and the geometry of the older bucket Avons. What size oar do you run on this boat? Your 1.63 or 1/3 oar inside oar locks. Put it at close to 11 feet if you have oar locks at 43, 44 inch. Set is 88 inch wide, so say 43 inches. I kind of get some of this. I know what you're asking, though. So first of all, congratulations on buying a Surge. It's a sick boat. I love that boat. We talked about wings a couple weeks ago, like last week. They're amazing workmanship, beautiful boats. Hopefully you're not disappointed. There's always some. I was using one of our wing boats that we bought the other day, and the blue fabric is fading early. It looks kind of crappy. It's annoying to me. There's the little details are just like, it's a great boat. We all love this boat, but it's just fading a little bit too fast. Anyway, and he's saying my fault because I promote the 16-foot Surge. If this is a wing Surge, yeah, I mean, it's a sick boat. But basically it's based off the older Avon, so that's why it's so good. So the problem is 11-foot oars are probably a little bit long for a 16-foot boat. And the problem is your oar towers are just really far out. So we run oar towers that are probably in closer than yours that go to a 10-foot oar. And so if you have these just super wide oar locks on whatever your frame is, you're probably going to need to run 11s. But if you have what I would call a normal frame for this boat, your oar locks are in a little bit tighter, necessitating probably a 10-foot oar. So I would say, like, the math I would do is I would go, okay, I want 10-foot oars. It depends on what you're running. If you're running the Grand Canyon, you probably want 11s, right? Sure. Why not take the power? If you're running like the Yampa or like Class 2, the Rogue, you're probably fine with 11s. If you're probably just get the 11s. Keep your frame, get the 11s. You're going to have great. You have a lot of power, big long oars, like they're pretty far out. You'll probably be great. Rivers where like the Illinois, Tuolumne, Sellaway, Middle Fork at low water, where you're having to like make some tight maneuvers and you want like the optimal oar length for this boat, I think that's 10. But I would get 10, and then instead of multiply by 1. So 10 is 120 inches, divide by 1.63, and that tells you want. Ooh, did I do that right? That was times. Oops. Divide. I'm doing some math right now on my computer. That means 73 inches between the oar locks. So you need to get a frame, somehow get your frame narrower on your boat. You're probably, I don't have the dimensions for it, but I'm guessing your oar locks to be 11 are sitting on the very outside of your boat, splayed out, right? And if you're sitting on a high chair, like a lot of people have those downriver blue chairs, you're sitting up so high, you then decide to get longer oar locks. Like that's why people get those 10 or 12-inch oar locks, whatever they are, that are insane. The 12-inch oar locks, it splays it out even farther. And so if you want to run technical rivers with this boat, I'm going to want to figure out how to bring that stuff in so that the distance between the airlocks is about 73.6 inches to match 10-foot oars. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know. I don't understand this last sentence you wrote. Set is 88-inch wide, so say 43. Okay, yes. Set is 88-inch wide. I don't understand all of this, but sounds like it's 88 inches between the oar locks, which gets you to 11 feet. Let's do that. If it's 88 times 1.63, that gets you to 143 inches, and then divide by 12. That's 12 feet. So if you're, which is just excessive, they don't even make 12-foot oars. So part of it is just the width of your frame and getting the right frame for the boat. And again, if you have those, whatever they are, 12-inch oar towers, that's going to cause problems. That causes problems for everybody. Everybody I know that has 12-inch oar towers, they have problems whether they know it or not. Like I can look at them and be like, yeah, those oar towers are your problem. Okay. So the other thing you say is your 1.63 or 1/3 oar lock inside airlocks. Yeah, I believe you take you take the distance between oar locks, multiply by 1.63, that gives you oar length. That's what I believe. And you won't change my mind. The 1/3 I do not say. So that says you want 1/3 of your oar on the inside, 2/3 on the outside. It's actually, I'll pull up, it's a little bit different than that. I wrote a blog post about this on the River Hardware website. Let's go find that. I think it's on there. This is, for those of you that don't know, this is where I sell gear, how to choose the right oar length for your raft. And so the ratio is an 11 to 27 ratio. So it's not 1/3. It's not 1/3 inside, 2/3 outside. It's 29% inboard, 71% outboard. It's not exactly a 1/3, 2/3. And so like what you're saying is it's 1/3 inside is like 33% inboard. Hopefully you can see this. I'm saying it's less than 1/3 inboard. You want oar out there. And so this ratio just comes from like people who rode oars for generations before whitewater existed. And it kind of tracks with what I think is the best. So you can see here, I wrote, some boaters rely on the 1-to-2 ratio or 1/3 inboard with 2/3 outboard rule. But it's close. It's easy to visualize it and just be like, yeah, that makes sense. But honestly, if you look at most like great guides and outfitters who are rowing a lot, if you look at their stuff, if you look at people who've just like kind of figured it out over the years, they're more of a 29% in, 71 out, which is an 11 to 27 ratio. Hopefully that answers your question. This is a long way of me saying get a different frame. Or again, if you're just going to run, like I said, you're running like class 2, 3, I mean, do whatever you want. Honestly, it's going to be fine. But like if you're trying to tone it in to be doing an Illinois trip at like 600 CFS or 3000 CFS, when you need like even at regular flows where you need your stuff super dialed, that's where my advice comes in. Like you can ignore my advice if you're just doing the San Juan and like, I don't know, Gates of Lador. Ignore me. Just get the big blue seats at downriver cells. Like do your 12-inch oar things. Like, I don't carry an umbrella on your boat. I don't really care. My advice is more if you're really trying to dial it in for performance for harder rivers. That's where a lot of my advice comes in the best. All right, next question. Middle Fork, August 26th launch. Thank you for all your helpful tips on the Middle Fork and various water levels. In a group that pulled permits for August 26th, are good wading boots like Sims or even rubber rainbows a good idea? Just thinking about what role footwear plays for this type of trip. I would not wear wading boots. I'm launching August 28th, so I'll be a couple days behind you. I wouldn't wear wading boots. You're going to like fill them with water. That's just, and they're going to, If you fill wading boots with water and then you swim, it's very hard to swim to shore. Like there's so much mass you have to move to get to shore. So I wouldn't wear rubber rain boots. They're just gonna like slow you down. They don't have and rubber rain boots don't have good traction. Just get some good river shoes. Like even Astrals are fine. Get some Astrals, get those palm shoes they make that are really cool now. I forget what they're called. Just get shoes that stick to wet rock and recognize that your feet are going to get wet because you have to step out of your boat into the river, right? The only reason to wear rubber rain boots is to not get your feet wet, but you're rafting. Like, I don't know, getting your feet wet is part of rafting. So please don't wear rubber rain boots. Please don't wear waders. It's probably going to be plenty warm out there. You know, if you're worried about getting cold, wear some, like, I don't know, a wetsuit, right? But you're just get some good river shoes and just get outside your boat and push. That's pretty much it. Waders are going to slow you down. Okay. Or strokes, long and smooth or short and choppy. Is it contextually dependent? I found so far the more deliberate, long and smooth are more efficient. Thoughts? I never really thought about this. It's probably contextually dependent. I'm pretty sure I just do long, smooth strokes. But there's times when I'm just like doing this too. It's contextually dependent. I can't think of why I would be doing quick strokes. I bet that, and this is just me thinking out loud, when I do long strokes, it's just nice. Just keep the boat moving down. If I need a quick acceleration to get somewhere or I'm driving into an eddy, that's when I'll just do quick strokes like that. But normally I'm just kind of pushing. So if I can plan ahead, I don't need to accelerate very fast. I just need to move long, smooth, and short. If I need to quickly accelerate, I'll probably do short and choppy. I would say 95% are long and smooth. Just guessing wildly. Let's see. Sean said, I recently tried to buy another pair of Palm Gradients. They can't ship due to tariffs. Oh, burn. That sucks. Yeah, the Palm Gradients, those are the ones. Like I wore those today boating. They're sweet. They're great boots. They're better. I don't like them without a dry suit. If you put just your feet in there, there's too much boot. But I heard a rumor Palm's about to come out with a shoe that's gonna be awesome. So hopefully that comes out soon. But whatever you get, if you can't get those ones, Astrals are fine. Like just get something that protects your feet, grips to wet rock. I mean, a lot of running shoes do that. I mean, those 5'10" mountain biking shoes are really cool too. Okay, that was the end of that question. There's a question. Think about Salmon Middle Fork, April 3rd from Marsh Creek. Is it doable? I don't know. It's probably full of wood. I bet you there's tons of logs down from Marsh Creek down. The people that I've known that have done it in April, first of all, have been very cold. So just prepare for it to be miserable. But if you're going to do it, just do a full fly-in. Like just fly into Indian. Like skip all that danger. Like skip Marsh Creek, which is dangerous. Skip where it's going to be really cold, which is like up at Boundary. The first day is going to be really cold. Just if you can afford it, fly everything to Indian and do the part that's generally not as cold and skips all the dangerous stuff. That's the way I do it. The people I've flown into Bernard before and done the last 2 nights in April, and it was great. And it was cold, but it was only 2 nights. It was fine. I don't think I'd want to be up at Boundary or Marsh Creek in April. Unless you get super lucky with the weather. All right. I think this is the last question. Yeah. So, hi, Zach. Uncle Steve here. I'm a longtime outfitter guide and a river rescue instructor from 70s to late 2010s, mostly on Southwestern rivers, now retired. I'm a regular follower of Gear Garage and find the content amazing and useful. Great work you do. Oh, thanks, Steve. That means a lot. Like from like somebody with your experience and like notoriety, like you're definitely a dude. When I say a dude, like in my world, my friends, when I say you're a dude, that's pretty much the highest compliment you can get. A dude is somebody who's just like badass, like just somebody who's like solid badass, a known entity. Like you're a dude, thank you. This note is a follow-up to recent shows where we explore the use of rescue PFDs. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember doing recent shows on rescue PFDs. I did one on releasing them. I have a general take on rescue PFDs. I'm gonna share before I get to the rest of it. I think for most of us, they're pretty useless. Most of us rafters. And I know I've seen your photos. I already know how you use it. I'm jazzed on how you used it here. I'm just gonna preface this with like, most of us are not doing things where we need a rescue PFD. And by buying a rescue PFD, we're adding equipment that makes the PFD a little heavier. So you lose a little flotation, tiny bit, but it could make a difference. And it's equipment that you're not qualified to use, have any experience using, and like, I don't know, could get hung up on something too. So I would say most rafters, I'm just gonna say, why would you get one? There's no benefit. As a kayaker, I can see a little bit more benefit. I have a friend who got pinned into some rocks and maybe a tree, and people clipped onto his his harness and pulled him back outward. So as a personal safety thing, it was super useful to clip on that and pull him out. And kayakers tend to get into a little bit like creeks and like areas where like maybe they're useful. I think a lot of us take rescue classes where they have this contrived thing where a person is swimming down and they make you jump in after them and then grab them and you pull them ashore attached to a rope. That's just not a thing that we're doing in the real world. So like event safety does that, but like your average river guide isn't doing that. And if you ask 100 river guides, have they ever used a rescue harness? Maybe a couple will say yes. And it's almost always to save equipment, not to rescue people. So I don't see it as a value personal rescue tool for rafters. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong a little bit here. I'm not right, but it's my opinion based on my experience. For me, having been boating for 30 years, a lot in all types, rafting, kayaking, supping, commercial guiding, private boating, whatever it is, only a handful of times have I ever really kind of needed this. And it's been the couple of times it's been helpful. Those of you that might boat like 500 days in your life, this probably isn't going to come up. I don't think. Just my opinion. And I'd love to be proven wrong. Like I need somebody to say, no, I used it once. It saved everybody. Tell me. But the average boater probably doesn't need a rescue harness, in my opinion. I think that's what Steve is probably referencing, is I hold an opinion that we're spending too much time training with these pieces of equipment that aren't used very often for an average rafter or river guide. That's an opinion that I hold, and I still hold that opinion. Okay, with that said, let's move on. On a Gila, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, on a Gila river trip a few years ago, and I followed up with Steve. It was a 4-day trip. That's an important detail. I was leading a pod of paying guests paddling their own inflatable kayaks. One guest got too close to an undercut wall and flipped upstream. We quickly rescued the swimmer to the side opposite the wall, but his boat clammed firmly to the overhang and refused to extricate itself. We solved this unexpected problem by crossing 2 geyses to a point above this. I don't know what a geys is, but 2 geyses. But crossing 2, I don't know what that is. One guide, Joe, is clipped by his harness to the other guide, Isaac's throw bag. Isaac belayed Joe as he waded through 6 feet per second current to the stuck IK. We threw Joe a second bag from the opposite shore. Joe clipped to the second throw bag to the D-ring of the IK, and a couple of us reefed it off. Sorry there's no video, but I've got a series of pictures to illustrate this unique rescue and can help provide you a little programming relevant to whitewater rescue. We'll email you the pics. Okay, so here's the pics. Here's it stuck. I first only saw this photo. This is all I saw. And I'm like, oh, they're screwed. Like, they're just screwed. Because, like, getting out there is brutal. I didn't realize you could walk out there. Like, being able to walk out there changes things a little bit. Also, I wasn't sure if this was a day trip or an overnight trip. And I actually brought this up. Steve, you like this? We were teaching a rescue class last Thursday right after you emailed this. And I brought this up to our class. And we were talking about accepted level of risk. And I said, how much risk would you take to get this off? Is this an equipment retrieval or a rescue? And we talked a little bit about, well, if it's just a day trip, you probably wouldn't take much risk. And it's more of an equipment retrieval. But then we talked about if this is an overnight trip and your food and camping and shelter are on that boat, it's a maybe not just an equipment retrieval. This is a rescue because you need the things on that boat. Like maybe you have medications on that boat. Who knows? So like normally if it's a equipment retrieval, I'm not going to take much risk. But the fact that you need that stuff, you might assume more risk to get that boat, which might mean, maybe swimming out there to attach a line. I don't know. When I first saw this, it looked like it was in like 20 foot deep water potentially, and it was just there indefinitely. So, and then I saw these photos. I'm like, oh, it's not even that deep. And he just said that the speed of the water was 6 feet per second, however fast that is. And he walked out there, which makes sense. That's cool. And was able to attach a lot. So like he walked out there. These are cool photos. Stood probably, I'm guessing. I love the fact that this is used the paddle to be stable. Probably stood there. I think that's what I understand from the thing. Somebody threw him another rope. He attached it to the ducky so people could pull it off. And here's them. He's still there. He's helping a little bit, pull it off. And I'm sure that worked brilliantly. Like, I'm sure they could get the rope on it and just with any mechanical advantage. They can just, pull on the rope and it's good. So this is pretty sweet. And I think this is a really cool use of a rescue harness, because homeboy, if he's walking out there and he swims, he's gone. I don't know what's downstream. If it's just a pool, like I probably wouldn't use a rescue harness, but there could be a rapid. It could be fast current. He's just gone. So if the guy out there walking out there swims, he has that rescue harness on him. They can pull him to shore, which is pretty cool. So this is, to me, an applicable use of the rescue harness. And I think that we, in rescue classes, it's always like, look, there's a person swimming, jump at, like, and they always dive. They're always like, I'm Superman. They dive out there and get them. And they're like, 10 feet away, when you literally could have coached them to swim to shore. Like if you just said, swim to shore, they could have swum to shore, but they set this up as like a thing and you use the rescue harness and you pull them to shore. I think, honestly, there's more application to shallow water wading attached to one of these than there is to swimming attached to using a rescue harness. I think this is the most common application, is you have to walk through swift water and above a rapid maybe to get to a person, a boat. And like, I'd like to have a rope attached to me just in case I lose my footing, right? More than the whole diving out like Superman to save somebody who's theoretically can't swim. So this is sweet. I love this example. And Steve, I only had this when I shared it with my class last week. I only had this photo. I love all these photos. And when I think about rescue, I'm a little bit anti-teaching the use of rescue harnesses. And Steve, if you're listening, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can tell from my preamble, I'm a little bit anti-teaching the use of rescue harnesses in a lot of rescue classes, because we sometimes skip the really important things like individual swimming skills, pulling people back into boats, setting safety below rapids, methods for foot entrapments, good safety talks. So we can do the nerdy stuff, like the ropes and the things. And I think we spend too much time, jumping out like Superman to save a theoretical person swimming, when we could just get better at throw bag and hit them with a throw bag. Now I get that if they're unconscious, that's a technique, but if they're unconscious, you're going to chase them with a raft. You're not going to have time to clip onto something. You might, but probably not. You're probably not going to like clip on really quickly and then, hey, belayer, get me. I'm going to go swim out and save the unconscious person. You're going to just jump in a boat and go get the unconscious person. That's what you're going to do most of the time. Like, I don't know, this technique doesn't work. So I'd rather, in a rescue classes, time is always so limited. I think it's hard for me to justify the time it takes to practice all these tethered rescue techniques. But I do think it's valuable for people to have rescue harnesses on their PFDs to practice releasing it. Like, can you just tie it? Like, I did a video on this about a month ago. Just tie your rescue ring to a tree and lean forward and feel it grab and then release. And you release I think the best way to release is like practice is pull out and then punch it forward. Right? People also say put your thumb below it and push the stuff out, because if you just pull it, it doesn't always release. There was actually a study done that 25% of the time, the people pulled their harnesses, they didn't release, which would, if you wanted to release it and it didn't release, that would that wouldn't be good if 25%. But if you have your tail short and you go, it'll pretty much release every time, hopefully. But it's a long way of me saying I think it's valuable. And Steve, if you're listening, please chime in, because you've been doing this forever, and I really respect your opinion here. I think in a beginning rescue class, somebody just wants to go learn about the basics of rescue and like be a safe boater. We should learn, if we have the harnesses, we should learn how to release them. Tie yourself to a tree and do it. We should wait till a more advanced class before we spend the time to do the whole go get people, because almost anybody can do this. You don't need to like jump in like Superman to save people, to just walk out to a ducky with a rope attached to your harness. And then if you do want to, you do come off and you have to release it, you at least practice that. This is like just a creative use of the rescue harness. And I'd say most times, the times I've seen it done were, one was below green wall. We had a guide on a rescue harness just in case of a swimmer. Another time was on a really difficult creek, and there was a class 5 above a portage, and we were just there just in case, and then everything was fine. But like somebody was going to have to like jump in right above a portage and grab a kayak, or if they missed the eddy, things like that. Like just like not like exactly how they were intended to be used. Well, the green wall one, yeah, you just jump in after them and do the thing. But a lot of times it's just like an extra, just like security blanket in case the person there falls in. But it's incredibly rare to use these rescue harnesses, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you are sitting there like, Zach, that's a terrible opinion. People tell me that all the time. It's just based on my experience, and realistically, like, since we're whitewater boaters, we go take our boats to rescue people. We don't need to tie ourselves to ropes. I think this rescue harness is more applicable for firefighters who might get to a scene and people have been there for a while. They might tie themselves to a rope and go for a swim. As whitewater paddlers, we have other boats. Like, an interesting thing too, Steve, that I would have done here, or at least tried, since you have more duckies, is you could try to paddle a ducky over there and attach the rope. That's something I'm not sure if you guys did try, but like, or if it's even possible. But like, I might, put somebody in the bow of a ducky, have somebody paddle over, and just have the bow from the bow clip a rope on. That might be another option. Like, but it's not that deep, so you can walk out there. If you couldn't walk out there, I go back to this photo, which is the first one I saw. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. If you're on an overnight trip, you need that stuff. You're probably not going to leave that behind. You're not going to put 2 people in ducky, and you're probably not going to sleep out in your underwear at night and eat nothing. So this probably more is on the rescue side. You're probably going to get that boat. Would you put yourself on a tether and then have another rope in your hand? Would you swim out there with that rope in your hand and clip on? Is that risky? Is that something somebody might do? I don't know. But like that, if you couldn't walk out there, that might be a possibility. Or like, could you paddle out there and have somebody clip on? Those are good. That's what comes to mind, but I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what happened. So I think that's all we have for today. Yeah. Steve, thanks for sharing those thoughts. It's an interesting use of the tool. If anybody else, if you are watching this and you've used a rescue harness, when I say rescue harness, what's the right word for it? A tethered, I guess a rescue harness on a PhD. If you've used one to save a person, I would love to hear the story. I've heard a few stories of like people used it to save a paddle, sometimes a raft caught into an eddy, stuff. But a person, I heard a story a few years ago about a raft, like a raft at Blossom Bar not being tied up on the Rogue with commercial guests in it, and it floated down and got stuck in the river. And instead of the guides just taking another boat, to like putting a guide in a boat and rowing them down there and having them jump on the boat, they decided to use a rescue harness. And so I feel like sometimes we take rescue classes and we learn, we get tools that we want to use. I have my fancy life jacket, tie me up, I'm going to go for a swim. I learned this technique. We're sometimes want to use these techniques instead of just like the obvious thing. Go grab your boat, like somebody row them down and they'll jump off. Like our boats are amazing rescue tools. In my opinion. Again, I'm wrong all the time. I think, oh dude, we got a story. So if you have a story, oh, thank you. This is what I need. Like I guess I hope I'm wrong here. Like if you're like, hey Zach, you're wrong. Like you're an idiot. I'm saving lives all the time with a rescue harness. That's how I learn, and I'll change my opinion. Like I've been saying this for years. Why I don't know why guides and private boaters are rescue harnesses. Nobody's been like, oh, here's why. But if I can get some real stories and be like, oh, okay, interesting. That's a good use. I will change my opinion. But right now, I haven't had anybody tell me anything that makes me think that they're that useful. Okay, so if you have anything for me, like I said, go to whitewaterguidebook.com, our website, and hit the Gear Garage and go down to ask a question. Just throw it in there. That's the easiest way. We catalog all these questions and comments, and that's how they get easily added to the show. So this is the easiest way to reach out to me is through this thing. Thank you, Craig L-FU3JO. Is that your password? Can I break into your bank with that password? What is that? Yeah, I'd be love to read it, and maybe if you want me to, I'll talk about it on another show. So, here we go. Oh yeah, go off topic. Sorry for going off topic. We are a group from Latvia with 5 rafts planning to run the Awahi from Ranch 45 on April 3rd, but it looks like there's no water or snowpack. The salmon has their backup. Yeah, you're not going to the Awahi on April 3rd. I hate to tell you, we have commercial trips on the lower Awahi on April 3rd and 10th that we've already canceled. Like we've already canceled them. So I don't think you're gonna go to the Awahi. The salmon's awesome. I don't know what part you're gonna run, but it's pretty cold up there right now. Other things to do. God, snowpack so bad. I mean, do the Rogue River if you haven't done the Rogue. It's a great trip. It sounds like you're planning to go up high on the Awahi, which you're probably wanting an adventure. Man, I don't know where to go, honestly. The snowpack is so bad out here. Maybe somewhere in California. Maybe look into some. I don't know how difficult the rivers you guys want to do, but there's some challenging, cool stuff to do in California in April potentially. I don't want to give you any ideas because I don't know how good you guys are, but that's cool. My friend Vladimir used to guide with us from Latvia, and I went to Riga to see where he was from. I've been to Riga before, and then took a bus to Tallinn in Estonia from Riga. It was cool. If you have photos, just send the message first, and I'll reach out for photos. Later that day, Joe swam on a rope to a panic kayaker entangled in brush. So you used it twice on the same trip, huh? Interesting. How did a panic kayaker get entangled in a brush? That's the story I want to hear. Sounds like kind of an adventure. And then you pendulum them both back to bank. Cool. That's good. Good story. Thanks for sharing. That's good. Those photos are super. We don't need, the video would have been cool, but photos are cool. This stuff is great because these are things that like make me think. Like I've already felt, you can probably tell that I don't feel like we all need to be wearing rescue harnesses like everybody is out there. I see they have really limited use. But to see them, and I'd love to see Craig's story, to see these stories helps me see how they're actually used in the real world, and then may cause me to train with them more than we do in our courses. So I really appreciate seeing these. Yeah, the eel. That's it, Sean. The eel could be cool. I was thinking like things came to mind like the middle eel, but there's also there's some creek that flows into the eel that's like a 4-day trip up there. I don't know how much snowpack there is, but I'm thinking South Trinity. I'm thinking stuff like that. Like stuff in the Coast Range of California could be really cool, but I don't know how their snowpack is. Yeah, but yeah, I can just tell you, I'm really I'm stoked that people from Latvia watching. Thank you for watching. I just don't think anybody's going to the Awahi. It's maybe some pack rafters at peak snowmelt, but it's the snow melt is bad right now. So, and the salmon's cold in April. So, boy, I'm thinking, and I've in Oregon we have a lot of class 2 stuff. You could do like the Grand Ron, the John Day. The rope is great. Maybe the Illinois will have water. The Illinois would be amazing if it has water, but I bet further south in California there's better snowpacks. But yeah, the Oahe, the parts of the Trinity, it's hard to say. Steve, we teach the skill and basic classes because guides often show up cluelessly wearing them. I conceptualize this as the human throw bag. Yeah, my friend Mark says, it's putting brains on the end of a rope. That thing is, this is the thing, Steve. This is the conversation I want to have. It's like, yeah, everybody's cluelessly wearing them. Everybody. Like even people who have trained on them are cluelessly wearing them because people train on them once every 3 years at the most. And in that time, they switch PFDs, and all PFDs, the tension's slightly different when you release. So we don't train on them enough to be a really like go-to tool. And also, like, I mean, I see people wearing them. Their like tails are like a foot long. Like obviously they've never taken a class. Their instructor should make them cut their tail down to be like 4 or 5 inches or less. So I can see, again, kayakers needing them. So few rafters, I think, need them. And usually there's a boat, and you can use a boat to do the same thing. Like a boat, a human throw bag, yeah, that's an interesting concept. You can't throw a human, so they won't go as far. But that's the idea. Usually a throw bag by itself will work, or a boat by itself will work, or a person by themselves can just swim out to a thing or walk out to a thing. It's rare that you are like so concerned about that person that you also try a rope to them, right? Like in your photo, Steve, I didn't see what was below, but if it's just like a lake, I'm not sure why he had a rope. I'm only putting a rope on him in case he swims and he's heading into like nonstop whitewater. Then it's like, okay, let's get a rope on him because we don't want to lose him. But if it's just like the rapid ends and it's just like flat, well, he can just float out. He's going to be fine. Unless there's an undercut over there he's going to go into or something. So, yeah, I just sorry to belabor this, everyone, in today's show. But it's something I think about a lot. And I have an unpopular opinion because I talk to every rescue instructor. They like can't wait to tie people onto ropes and have them Superman into the river to save a person that is sort of contrived. Like most instructors love teaching that. And a lot of students show up to a class expecting to learn how to use I want to learn how to use this harness. And I'm like, you need to practice swimming more. You need to practice your knots more. Like in a lot of classes, people skip the basics and go right to the sexy stuff. And I'm going to put this in the sexy category because it's sexy. It's cool. You tie yourself to a rope. It's on your PFD. It looks cool. Like we go right to the sexy, fancy stuff. And I think in rescue classes, my opinion, I'm going to rant about this right now in general. In a lot of rescue classes, the basics are skipped over so that we can get to the cool stuff. And I feel like that's to the disservice of a lot of boaters. Just my opinion. Yep. We were thinking like Cataract would be sweet. Cataract is beautiful. And the hiking on River Right into the maze is amazing. That's a great option. Something that there should be, I mean, it's low water out there too, but you should be able to do Cataract. Yeah, Cataract would be cool. Yeah, I'm sorry that it's a rough time to do the Oahe. It's a brutal year. Or just do day trips. Just go. Sean's saying that the Sierra snowpack is at 40%. Yeah, that's not good. Snowpack's pretty bad all over the West. Yeah. If you come through Hood River, look me up. Send me a note. Look me up. And yeah, it's an interesting concept. Mark, like I said, my friend Mark always says it's a way to attach a set of brain, or does it say a set of brains? It's a way to attach brains to a rope. That's interesting. Anyway, that's it for this show. Thank you all for watching. If I want the pushback, so if you think I'm wrong, I need to hear it. Go to that forum and go a whitewater guidebook. I don't know. Send me a nasty message somewhere. put a comment in the comment section below. I need the feedback. I need you to, the world out there to say, no. We're saving so many lives with rescue harnesses. Like you wouldn't even believe it, Zach. Like they're just like left and right. Like we're keeping the population of the West Coast up with these safety harnesses. I need to hear it. So please let me know if you think this hoist is the ultimate tool for rescue. I also need to hear it. Like my opinions could be totally wrong. If you think, oh yeah, there's no disagreement there. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next week.